Oh, hey MTV. My name's Caleb, and welcome to my crib. Well, folks, I just got back from a 7-day Resale Ride road trip all the way back to my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. I was going back there for a wedding and figured I'd spend some extra time, see my family, and thought that I would make a business trip out of it. So I sourced video games from pawn shops, as you guys can see, and family videos all the way down and all the way back. And I was saying during the whole time that I would make a haul video at the end to show you guys everything. So that's what we're here to do today. The main purpose of this video is a few things. One is just to show you guys everything that I picked up all at once. Another one is to give you guys some things to look out for and also some tips for sourcing yourself. And the last thing is to just talk numbers in terms of how many hours I spent, how many stops I hit, and also how much money I spent, and maybe a little bit of estimated profit. I didn't take the time to go over everything and tally everything up in terms of what I expect to make, but I can at least give you guys some projections. So let's start with that part, and then I will show you guys a close-up of everything a little bit later. So on this trip, I bought video games in 6 cities. Started out in St. Louis, then Kansas City, then Omaha, then Lincoln, then Des Moines on my way back, and then finally Champaign. The total hours that I traveled, including both to and from Nebraska and also in between pawn shops and all the cities in between, is around 39 hours. And the total number of stops that I hit during that time, pawn shops and family videos, is 71. That actually doesn't even include a couple thrift stores and some retail arbitrage that I did. But just for these numbers, 71 stops in the last 7 days or so. So it was pretty wild. I think I did a good job on the front end of mapping everything out. I'll have to make another video about that. But yeah, 71 stops across 6 cities. Total hours spent in acquisitions, including like time at pawn shops and also like planning routes and shooting videos and stuff like that, was probably in the neighborhood of 70 to 80 hours last week. So it definitely was a busy week, but it was a lot of fun, so I'm glad I got to do it. My total amount spent for the whole trip at all 71 stops ended up being in the neighborhood of $2,700. That's not exact because there were some shops that I did cash in, and there were some other expenses that were in there that aren't actually pawn shop expenses, like gas and food and things like that. But it's right around $2,700. And that brings the average expenditure per stop to around $38. There were a lot of places that I walked into and didn't end up buying anything. And on the flip side, I'm trying to remember what the most I spent at a stop was. I want to say like $250. So definitely, a wide spectrum of expenditures, but the average was $38. As far as what I expect to make on all of this stuff, I try to be a little bit conservative in my estimations. A rule of thumb for me is that I almost never buy stuff, with the exception of handhelds that I don't think I'll be able to make at least 100% return on. So if I'm spending $30, I want to make about $30. So my conservative estimate is around $3,000 profit on all of the stuff that I bought. I would guess somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000, and that is gross profit. That's not factoring in gas and taxes and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I would say baseline $3,000 on all the stuff that I got from the whole trip. And that brings the average gross profit per stop to about $45. All right, so moving on to what I actually got on this trip, you can see I bought a pretty good number of consoles and handhelds, and just wanted to share a bit about these. Picked up a little stack of Wii's here. I really like buying Wii's. If you only sell on eBay, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I think Wii's are pretty underrated. When you pair them with either Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort and Wii Sports and a Wii Motion Plus, They can go for a solid like 60 to 75 or 80 after fees. And I normally pick them up for like 20 to 30. So when you can do those kind of bundle deals, there's still a solid amount of profit to be made there. This Wii U I got for $50, which is a solid deal. This GameCube, I think I actually paid like 25 or 30, which is pretty solid for a GameCube. One thing that I always do, no matter if it's GameCube, PlayStation, Wii, whatever, is anytime I buy a system, I make sure that it has an original OEM controller that's from whatever the manufacturer is of that system. That's just because when I'm selling on Amazon, I always like to have them as matching the listing. I don't want to have to put in the description, hey, it has a crappy third-party controller with it. One, because that's going to hurt the value, and also it's going to increase your likelihood of return. So I always make sure when I'm buying to ask what kind of controller it has and to look at the controller as well. Then I bought a couple of PlayStation 3 Slims and also a Super Slim here. I think a couple of these were actually $60. The reason I paid up for those was so that I could get really good prices on some other games. If you want to see those deals, you can check out the resale rides of the trip. I explained it a little bit. Also got a PS2 Slim. I think this was about $30. Then moving on, I got a couple of PlayStation 3 Move controllers. These are very often underpriced, guys. You have to look out for these. They're worth around $30, and I probably paid like a few bucks a piece. This one looks like I paid 10 or close to 10. This one was like a couple bucks, so definitely look out for these. Got a few different kinds of handhelds here. A Guitar Hero dongle that's worth like 40 bucks. That's kind of crazy. This was kind of a funny story. I got all of these Mario and Luigi Dream Team Edition 3DSs at the same stop. They were all 50 bucks, which is a solid deal. You can see there is some wear on the front there, so I will have to sell a couple of them in acceptable condition and just note that, but really solid deal for this. They normally sell for, I think, $120 to $130 or so before fees. So happy about that. Got a few DS lights here. I picked those up for around 20 and they go for like 40-ish after fees. And also some regular 3DSs, especially when it's not peak tax season. I find these pretty often for like 40 to 50, so those are a solid BOLO item as well. Got a couple of these. I only put one out. Xbox 360 sensors. I think I paid $5 a piece for these. Yeah, this one you can see was $5. And when you pair it with Kinect Adventures, it can go for around 20. So that's pretty much it for the consoles that I bought. Oh yeah, and also this PS Vita was a great buy. Marked at 90, he actually brought it down to 60, and it should go for around 120 after fees. Well, moving right along here, this is a little setup I have of all my disc-only games that I got, including some PSP games here. If you guys have been following me for a bit, you know that I love picking up disc-only games. And it's not because I love selling games in acceptable condition. It's that most often you can get these things for really cheap. I don't think I paid, besides the Wii Sports, some of those I got at like video game stores. But everything else, I don't think I paid more than $3 per game. And a lot of them were like $1 or $2. So you do have to sell them in acceptable condition, and I always note it in the condition note. But there are a lot of people out there who don't really care about the case and manual, and because of that, my return rate honestly is not higher on acceptable games than it is for good or very good. And so I love picking these games up. Even though they do sell for a little bit less, you can count on maybe a few dollars less than what it normally would in very good condition. It's still very worth it because the buy cost is so low. So just some highlights here. We got Call of Duty Black Ops. We have Dynasty Warriors 8. I got a couple of those. Rock Band 4 on the PlayStation 4 is a good one right here. 7 Days to Die is really good. I think normally that goes for, I want to say, close to 30 after fees. So that's probably the best one here. Got Nintendo Land to throw in. Whoopsies. I stepped on the cord. There we go. to throw in with a Wii U. Jackbox Games is a good one. Terraria is a good title to look out for across multiple platforms. And of course, I got a bunch of Wii Sports to pair with my console, so I'm happy about that. And finally, we have the Glorious Games. These are not arranged really in any particular order except for size, so don't pay any attention to that. Also, don't pay any attention to the price stickers. Some of them are more accurate, like this Prison Architect I did pay $6 for, but like this Shadow of the Colossus I paid $5, not $25. So a lot of these I have negotiated pretty well on, but I did want to just kind of show you guys individually a good chunk of these games, give you a closer look, and also highlight some that would be worth picking up for yourselves. So let's start over here with the DS games. I also did pick up a few of these little cases. These were at a game store for $6 each. And once I clean them up and stuff, they should go for around $20 with free shipping. So I'm happy with that on eBay. And then down here we have a bunch of the loose DS games. Some of these came these guys came just as a bundle with a DS Lite. They're not really worth anything, but I was like, okay, that's fine. Tinkerbell was the same. Bratz, would not have picked that up. But some of these have really solid value. One is Dragon Quest IX. This is an incredible one to look out for. Sentinels of the Starry Skies. So that's a solid pickup. Miitopia still goes for around $30. That was a great find. Tomodachi Life, I talked about this. I'll keep going on about it because it's still around like a high 30s or low 40s game after fees. This one was maybe the biggest surprise. I picked this up for $3 at a pawn shop. It was one of those unpriced deals. Project Mirai DX, and it goes for around $46 after fees. So that was an incredible find. Got a couple loose PS Vita games there. Nothing super valuable in those. Final Fantasy Tactics, that was a throw-in as well. It's worth about $10. Got an Action Replay DSi for $2. Let me know if you guys know anything about this, if this is just like a manufacturing error on the label, or if it may actually be like a fake or a reproduction. Wasn't sure about that. Couldn't find anything in my research. Lego Friends is a great one, still like a $24 or something game after fees. And then Pokemon Heart Gold, that's one of the more valuable Pokemon DS games. My friend Andy hooked me up with this. He wanted to just give it to me for free with a DSi and stuff, but I had to pay him for it because it goes for like $60. So thanks, Nigel, for that hookup. Then moving on to some N64 games over here. DuckTales I did get on the NES. That was like 8 or so. I think that's the first one of those I've actually found. Then we got GoldenEye, always a winner. Perfect Dark, I think, is worth like 12 or so. One that I was surprised by was the new Tetris. I think goes for like 24. This one will probably be a little less because of the sticker wear, but not bad on that. Super Mario 3 in crap condition. I don't know. I got this because you can bundle these with NESs, but I don't know if I'd want to put that in a bundle. And then Monster Party is a good one too. Then we'll move on to over here. We got a bunch of DS games with the case, as well as some PSP and Vita down there. Only got 2 Vita games. Actually, this one I didn't even get on this trip. That got returned, so don't pay any mind to that. But the best one, I would say, in this stack is going to be the Shin Megami Tensei. I don't know what that says, but this is what it looks like. That guy's worth, I think, 30 to 40 after fees, so stoked about that find. It was like $6. Moving on over here to some of the older generation games. This was one of the best finds here. Mario Kart Wii is still pretty common, especially at garage sales and stuff. So if you can pick it up cheap, definitely do, because it's worth, I think, still 20 to 30 after fees. So definitely a solid Wii game. Another solid Wii game, No More Heroes 2. You're much less likely to find this one, but if you do, it's worth about $60. So good on ya. Silent Hill 2 is in the 20s. That was super underpriced, as you can see. Both of these Just Dance 2 Disney parties I wouldn't have picked up except that they're sealed still, so we'll get about 10 bucks each for those, I think. I do sell games that are sealed in new condition. Some people are a little bit leery about that. They say, oh, they'll make you submit your invoices and stuff. I have not run into that so far, so I do sell new games as new. One important thing to note here is this Piglet's Big Movie game. This is not for resale. This is just for me. I decided on this trip I'm going to start a collection of Winnie the Pooh themed games because Winnie the Pooh, let's face it, he's the man. You can see here I've got on my little trophy shelf Winnie the Pooh's Adventures on the Game Boy, so I'm adding to that collection. And if you don't think Pooh's the man, then we've got some beef. So we'll have to fight after school or something. A couple Just Dance titles, those hold their value fairly well. I think they're both worth at least more than $5. I don't think I paid much for them. Shadow of the Colossus, I'm keeping that one because I played that on the PS2, never played it on the PS4, but it's definitely in my top 10 games of all time. Sword Art Online, there he is. I've bought a few of this. I think they're still worth over 20, so that's a good one to look out for. Prison Architect, you can see I picked up a couple of those. That one I believe is also over 20. Transformers Devastation, that's one that I will often find at Family Video, and it goes for around 16 after fees. That one's nice and complete. Another 2K17 up there. And finally, this last row, you can see I picked up multiple Red Dead Redemptions. That one's a pretty hot game. Even though I am restricted on Amazon, I'll flip it on eBay for 25 plus. And I think I paid around 5 to 10 for each of those. NASCAR 15 was actually a surprising bolo for me. I think it still goes for like 28 or something after fees, so kind of wild on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the game finds. Well guys, I think that will do it for today's haul video. If you have any suggestions for next time, please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video and would consider subscribing, that would mean a lot to me. I check my subscribers far more often than would be healthy, and so you could potentially make my day. But until next time guys, I will catch you on the flip.